A TEDx talker, keynoter, ex-marketing agency owner, and serial tech startup co-founder, Dan Sodergren is a digital marketing and technology expert who works on BBC Breakfast, BBC News Channels, BBC Watchdog, The One Show, Rip Off Britain, and on countless radio shows. He's a futurist who studies and trains companies in how the future of marketing, work, and technology will change our world. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful intro. Thanks for that. It's a beautiful way of putting it. And yeah, I'm very proud to be here and very happy to be here. Yeah, I do quite a bit of stuff. And so, very, very happy to be here today. So as you were rightly saying, yes, I have done a TEDx talk, and I do got a talk for a living. I work for Your Flock as well. Have a look at it, yourflock.co.uk. Actually ties in nicely with the other speaker as well, as we work in team dynamics and things. But anyway, the whole point in the next 19 minutes is for me to talk about the future of work. And you may have heard already someone who I think is brilliant, I'm inspired by, and Bruce Daisley, who I think is absolutely wonderful. Not to say that this talk will be anywhere near as good as Bruce's. He's 2 times... he's got 2 books out for crying out loud, and he's an award-winning author, so he's amazing. Anyway, another thing that I am inspired by is Your Flock, which is the company I started with Michal Wisniewski, who is also awesome too. And then the other thing I'm inspired by is this. And you might not know exactly what this is, but that thing on the slide, you could, if you know it already, feel smug inside yourself that you know what that chemical compound is. If you might have noticed there was 3 things. There was Bruce, who's inspired me, my business partner inspired me, and also that chemical that inspires me too, which of course is the power of 3s. I don't know if you know about the power of 3s, but there's loads of them: body, mind, and spirit. There's the 3. There was. In religion, there's always 3s. I'm not going to go on about it too much, but there's 3 wise men. There's the parts of the brain. There's 3 different bits. There's a power of 3s. We know this in marketing. There's loads of powers of 3s. Anyway, why did I say that? Well, because today I want you to start thinking slightly differently, not just using the power of 3s and these other things, but to use parts of your brain, all 3 parts of your brain, please, because I can't teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Can anyone think who said that? Pop that into the chat now, just to see if the chat was working. So I can't teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Anyone have a think? Who may have said that? And so anyone? I'll give it you. It's Socrates. Socrates said that. But there you go. So who said this one? If I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. Anyone have a clue who said that one? You're good. Excellent. Yeah, of course, Abraham Lincoln, because it's on the slides. Now, of course, that's just the learning moment, because I want you to be reading the slides. Don't worry about my face. It's not my best feature. Hopefully my voice is pretty good for it, because I do some stuff on radio. But more importantly, it's the slides that you should be watching. Because there's only 3 things in life. There's time, money, and energy. Time, money, and energy. I'm most probably going to run out of time, but I'm most probably not going to run out of energy or love. I'm a bit of a hippie, so I'll say love for this. So we're going to think of the power of 3s. We're going to think of 3 things. We're going to think. We're going to think, feel, and we're going to then feel love. You can see how that works. So think, feel, and love. This chap called Simon. Simon says, there's must be a gag in there about Simon says, but anyway, but Simon says, start with your why. I don't think so. I think you start with the who. You start with the who. So who the heck am I? Well, I'm Dan Sodergren, and there was a wonderful introduction. Thank you very much for doing that. So I can skip this bit really. So I do some stuff on the BBC. That's not massively important. What I do for my clients is I help them from the current state into a future state. So I'm really about transformation, personal transformation, but also digital transformation as well. So I'm normally taking my clients from kind of grumpy baby faces to happy baby faces. So grumpy baby faces to happy. But at the moment in the UK and perhaps even across the world, we're really in a kind of happy face to grumpy face. There's loads of, I'm a dad, there's loads of pictures of babies in this. No, there's not really. And obviously they're not my children either. But anyway, why are we at the grumpy baby face stage at the moment? And that's what we've got to think about. Why are people not happy? And one of the reasons why people aren't happy, and this is the reason why I help start Your Flock, because we want to help 1 million people be happier at work, is because about 50% of us dislike our job. 15% of us, 50%, not 15, 50% of us, that's half of us, dislike our job or don't really like it. And we spend like 90,000 hours doing this. Now, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. And this is why it's really important, because if we can change people at work, we can potentially change so much more about society. Happier people make a happier world. If we can make them happier at work and more engaged at work, the better it is for everybody, not only productivity. I promised myself I wouldn't rant. But anyway, point being is, like, during the times of the pandemic, and of course this means that this stat is very scary, but we were in scary times, but 95% of us, 95% of the respondents, should I say, said that they were thinking about quitting their jobs. That's a huge stat to think about. Yeah, we now know that the average person used to be that you'd have a job for life, but the average person now changes their jobs 12 times in their lifetime. This changes the way that we have to look at work and the future of work. As my friend Tom Cusack rightly says, this is now, if you're worried about the pace of change, this is the slowest it's ever going to be. So we're going to change our jobs more and more. The actual tenure, the length of the tenure for your job is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as we bounce around doing different things. Now, that again changes the way that we've got to look at the employee contract and the way we look at the world. So we've got to start thinking. We've got to start thinking more. And one of the things we've got to think about is employment engagement. Employment engagement, the stats around these are horrifying. About 85% of employees are not engaged in their work. Just imagine that. I mean, I'm a boss and that one scares me. And it costs us lots of money. It's not just an immaterial kind of weird thing. It costs real money. £45 billion a year they work out, which is twice as much as how much they spent on track and trace, but that's a different point entirely. Anyway, the point being is that I promised myself I wouldn't do that gag and then went ahead and did it. Anyway, sorry. So the point is that lots of people are thinking about leaving their jobs, but it's not just about money. This great resignation and great reshuffle is not just about money. In fact, 74% of younger employees would actually accept a pay cut to move jobs to a better job or an ideal job. Isn't that scary? And of course, we know why we leave. We leave because of bad bosses. Yeah, we leave because of bad bosses, lack of career development, that kind of thing. Yeah, if you listen to your employees, because if employees feel that they are doing and they're being listened to and they're heard more, they actually perform 5 times better. So just imagine the increases in your own business if you just listen to your employees. However, only about 40% of businesses actually have a structured program to actually make sure that they can listen to their employees. What a huge opportunity this is. And of course, this is why we built Your Flock, because Your Flock helps you decrease your employee turnover by 25% or more, which saves people thousands of pounds. But behind that, there's a much bigger why. And that is about helping the world become a better place. Because if we can create workplaces where people share their values, they're aligned together, they talk more, they give more feedback, they're cared for more, they're more empowered, which is what you can do using Your Flock, then we can make the world become a better place. That's something I feel strongly about, which segues into feel. So why are feelings important? Well, because if people nowadays do not feel that their own values align with the company they're going to join, then they don't want to go there at all. Okay, this is a big one, because if your personal values do align with your employees, then you're 5 times more likely to be engaged at work. Think about that. Is astounding. So what we've got to really do is look at values and think about values and think about how people feel. And if people don't feel they belong at work, if people don't feel that they belong at work, then we have a massive danger. Yeah. Now this actually increases if you're the younger you are, the more you feel that you don't belong at work. That affects everything. Okay. So this whole piece that I'm talking about the future of work, of course, it's the future of the next generation, but it's also happening right now. Because the pandemic created this feeling of uncertainty, which my colleague and my co-founder, Michal Wisniewski, talks about being one of the worst human emotions. And he's absolutely right. It actually triggers off in neuroscience points of view, it triggers off the same thing about actual pain when you feel uncertainty. But there you go, that's a different thing. Why is this important? Well, because it's around leadership. During the COVID times, we didn't think that we had strong leaders. And to be fair, let's be honest, we most probably didn't. I'm not going to bash at the UK government. In fact, I don't need to, because they're bashing themselves, so to speak, at the moment. I'm wondering if even Liz Truss is still in her job, but that's a different point entirely. The thing that is important about the future of work is that people nowadays are willing to leave where they're working without a new job. Okay, so without a new job in hand. Now, that's quite rare, and that's a big thing. So the pandemic has caused this feeling of uncertainty, but some people are dealing with uncertainty without worrying about it from a financial point of view. But actually, what we need to be doing better is communicating more. Okay, the more and more we communicate as bosses and as leaders, the better our businesses are going to be. The problem being is that lots of people don't confide in their management, but also if your boss is not very good at communicating, then you are much more likely to have mental health problems. And it's that serious. Okay, it's not just about confiding in management. It's not just about being open, and it's not just, it's the importance of psychological safety, as another speaker just talked about. It's really, really key for our own personal survival as a species, because it's actually linked into how we feel about stuff. Now, I won't do a bit of a rant about this because I haven't really got time, but when you think about your feelings, it's sometimes to do with what you eat and microbiota inside your stomach, and your stomach's actually got the same amount of brain cells as a cat, hence the surprise cat face there. And what we found actually during the lockdown is that 1 in 3 young people, actually teenagers, did pretty well. And the reason why they did pretty well is because we were meeting together more. We were gathering together more. We were eating together more. We were being more social as small units. And that's just like being in a company. That's what we've got to do. We've got to gather together, because a team is not just a group of people that work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. And that trust has to come around by being together. So yes, we're massive believers in remote work at Your Flock. I'm a huge believer in it because of the diversity stuff and all the other things. But hybrid is going to be the way forward, because we'll need to meet each other and trust each other. But bosses feel that they are doing a brilliant job. And this is the scary thing. So our team leaders and our bosses think they're doing a great job, but in reality, lots of people aren't happy at work. So, hey, they most probably are overconfident. In fact, they're around about 41% points more. They think they're going to be more satisfied than we are. So it just kind of proves the point there. Because only around 23% of people are actually very happy with their current employer. So what do we need to do? Well, one of the things we need to do is we need to be more empathetic. We've got to become more empathetic, okay? We've got to change from being bosses into being leaders. And there's a great book by my friend, Jeremy Blaine, The Inner CEO. And there's a couple more great books on it. There's Daniel Pink's book about drive, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And there's Think Again. And what we've really got to think is, why would anyone be led by you? If you are a boss or a leader listening to this, really think, why would they do it? Because there's going to be a difference between being a boss and being a leader. And I'd even say, even thinking about leading from the front, perhaps that's an archaic way of looking at it. So this is what I love talking about. I love talking about hybrid work. I think hybrid work has got a huge potential for not only from a diversity inclusion point of view and bringing other people back into the workforce, but also a life balance point of view and people being happier at work. The other reason why I'm so excited by it is because hybrid working actually makes businesses more profitable. Okay. And even during the pandemic, at a really bad time, 73% of people believe they're more efficient working from home. So I think we can get rid of the argument, should we be working from home and should we be working flexibly? Yeah, absolutely. But it's actually around that flexibility about when people want to work rather than just where they want to work. And I understand there are certain things you can't do remotely. I get that. But let's be honest, there are an awful lot of stuff that you can. We also now got the technology. We didn't have the technology before. We've now got the technology to do it. It does make me smile that a lot of the companies on the left are now trying to make people go back to work. If you think about it, they were the technology companies 10 or 20 years ago that were creating this revolution, which has now happened. Anyway, that's the fourth industrial revolution for you. This is a huge opportunity for us all. And one of the biggest things is around data. So as a leader, you've got to think about data. If you haven't got a system which is getting data back to your brains from your team, then you're going to be in trouble. And one of the things that is now, this data is now kind of it's like the fertile ground to give birth to all these AI companies. Okay, you might think that AI isn't going to make a difference to your business or replace your job. It might not replace it, but it's definitely going to augment it. It's definitely going to make it better. Okay, even in marketing, you look at things like copy AI or content AI. They can now create blogs within minutes, which would normally take me hours. You know, AI can now predict cardiac arrest better than a doctor can. We are in astounding times for AI. And if you don't know anything about AI, have a look at GPT-3 because it's glorious. They did used to believe that AI couldn't do artwork, but now they can do artwork. And if you look at DALL-E, if you know about DALL-E 2, please have a look. When I did the TED Talk or TEDx Talk about 6 months ago, this was the kind of artwork they were creating. So all you need to do is type in red woman, rose, love. You can see where my life was at the time. And then you got these great artworks, which I kind of joked about that I was going to sell as NFTs. But anyway, that's not the point. Point being now, DALL-E is now doing this. So if you just typed in teddy bears on a 1980s computer on the moon, that's what the computer comes up with that image, okay? Just by typing in a sentence, the computer comes up with the image. That should terrify you because in some respects it is terrifying, but in other respects it's amazing because that's the whole point of technology. Technology drives society. Technology makes us help us make the world a better place. And that's what I love talking about. Okay, because I didn't think in my lifetime we were going to get this moment, this kind of gear change, this paradigm shift. But that's exactly what we've got now. And we've all got to start thinking in different ways about our jobs because of it, because we're now going to have radical flexibility. Yeah, we're going to start seeing a time where we can deconstruct jobs. And because of that, and this is really important, the team leaders and the bosses of the world have to change too. This doesn't mean that our humanity disappears. Far from it, actually. It actually means that humanity is more important than ever. Okay, so as Alex said, brilliant, from a great organization called Beam, the difference between good and great is love. And that's kind of the conclusion to my talk in some respects, because that's what it's all about. Yeah, all about is the future of work is going to be around loving what you do. And why do I care? Well, I care because I care about the world that my daughter's going to go into. I think we've got a chance here of creating a kind of post-capitalism. I think we're going to need to, from environmental reasons, for sociological reasons, for political reasons. And I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. The other good news, if you're on the side of capitalism, the other good news, though, is that companies that have a highly engaged workforce are 21% more profitable. Okay, so it's not just a kind of lovely hippie kind of thought. It actually makes you more money. It's a little bit like diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion isn't just a moral point. It's actually another point, which is actually it's better as innovation if you have diversity of thought. Okay, because the difference between a bad company culture and a great one can increase your revenue by ×4. That I was just talking about this with another client the other day, and this is why you get these outlining companies that are doing amazing things that are just so much bigger than other companies. And you could argue maybe they shouldn't be, but the point being is that's because they've got great cultures. And that's why I honestly say, look at your company culture first. Make sure that people are engaged. And if you don't know if they're engaged, for goodness sake, please find out. Use something like Your Flock and other tools that are out there to do so. Because in the end, the success is not a key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. It's the other way around. If you love what you're doing, you're going to be successful. And what I mean by that is, as a team leader, but also your team, you've got to make sure your team's happy. And when the team's happy, you'll succeed and do great things. It's really important, not just to your business, but I think just as human beings as general, yeah, because the future of work isn't what you think you're going to be doing. It's not even what you feel like doing either. It's actually what you love doing, okay? And the reason being is because loving their work or loving what you do is that's the bit the machines can't do. The machines can't do that bit, but you can do the human side of it. You can do the bits, a bit like with Your Flock. Your Flock has machine learning in it, and it's a very clever system, but it's not replacing team leaders. Far from it. It's augmenting them. It's adding another skill set. It's giving them a superpower. It's letting them save hours and hours of work because they can then look at the data and see all the rest. It's really important that you think about it, because with the right people and the right technology, you can take over the world. And without them, that world takes over you. The question really is who's arrogant enough or whose ego is big enough to actually quote himself at the end of a talk? Or apparently me. But there you go. So that's the thing. So the future of work, it isn't what you think. Okay, it's not what you feel. It's going to be what you love. And I believe this is the big shift for us all. And I suppose you could always try to guess what this is. And I'm hoping with the talk that you just heard, you might be able to guess what this is. So you could get, of course, the chemical is love. Yes, it's the chemical there is love. So how do you find out more about what we do? Well, you can search for me. It's Dan Sodergren. You can search me or have a hashtag future of work. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me most probably just by Googling me, to be fair. But more importantly, I want you to really have a think today about what I've just been talking about. And maybe slightly deeper than that, can you make sure that you're giving your team, especially if you're a team leader, if you are a team leader, are you giving yourself enough time? Are you investing in yourself enough? And as a company owner, are you investing in the right technologies enough to make sure that you can make a difference to the world? Because that's what we're all about at Your Flock. So please feel free, have a look at Your Flock at yourflock.co.uk. You can use Your Flock. We have lots of clients in lots of different places that do so. Our job is to decrease your employee turnover, which saves you money. But it's not just about saving money. It's actually about helping people be happier at work. Because I say before and I'll say again, I think the future of work isn't what you think, and it's most probably not all those other things. It's just simply what you love. And you can find out more about Your Flock simply by going to yourflock.co.uk. I'm hoping that was around about 20 minutes, but that's over to you to see if that's the case.
You did great, Dan. That's perfect timing. I've got to tell you the one thing, apart from all the stats that are buzzing through my brain, it's what will result in other people's love. What does the future actually look like of work, of things that are going to come out of this as we create technologies that enable time, this opportunity and this opening of the human brain to go, and it just charts a path that just blows my brain and gets me incredibly excited. So
yeah, that's the idea of the future. Yeah, the future will be doing less and less horrible work and doing more and more fun work. And that's what technology allows you to do. That's kind of the point of technology.
Yeah, and it's fascinating and it's fantastic. So thank you so much for that. That was amazing.